You know, I just made a video on the iPhone 14 Pro Max and Min-Chi Kuo insists on talking about what's coming next. As yes, the spotlight is already shifting to the iPhone 15 series and we already get the biggest names chiming in on what's new. We have more details on the new Tensor G2 that will power the Pixel 7 series, and if you're excited about the next OnePlus flagship, well, we have full specifications on the 11 Pro. I'm Jaime Rivera, and yes, it's about that time when the news are back to being sort of back to normal. This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today begin with Nvidia and their new RTX 40 series that just got announced, and let me catch my breath. It's a lot. The new lineup is based on the company's next-generation graphics architecture that includes two graphics cards, the RTX 4080 and 4090. But let's start with the smaller model. The 4080 comes in two variants. The premium version that has 9728 CUDA cores, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6X memory, 2.51 gigahertz in boost clock speed, which makes it 2 to 4 times faster than the 3080 Ti, according to the company. Then there's the second variant, which includes 12 gigabytes of GDDR6X memory, 7680 CUDA cores, and 2.61 gigahertz in boost clock speeds. On the other hand, on the top of the new series sits the massive RTX 4090, which features 16,384 CUDA cores with boosted clocks that go up to 2.52 gigahertz. It comes in 24 gigs of GDDR6X memory and has a 384-bit memory interface. This massive GPU has a power rating of 450 watts, and I had to look for that again, and runs on a single 16-pin PCIe Gen 5 cable. I know, kitchen sink kind of territory. What makes it even crazier is that Nvidia claims that the new flagship GPU is 4 times faster than the 3090 Ti, which is their current most powerful graphics card. The base 3080 starts at $900, while the more premium version is priced at $1,200. Now, if you're thinking about getting the 4090, well, get ready, because that one is $1,600. Finally, the 3080s will be available in November, and the 4090 will be available in October 12th, and I'm breathing. Now let's talk about OnePlus, since we have information about the specifications of the OnePlus 11 Pro, giving us an idea of what to expect, sort of. Now, according to a new report by OnLeaks, the new device will be powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, obviously, which will go official in November. The smartphone will run on Oxygen OS 13, which is naturally based on Android 13 out of the box, and will max out at 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, because there's going to be a base model that starts at 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. The new flagship will feature a 6.7-inch Quad HD Plus AMOLED set to 120 Hz with a punch hole in the upper left corner for a 16-megapixel selfie shooter, which seems like a downgrade to the previous 32 megapixels, but I doubt that will be the case. Maybe the results will change or we'll get larger pixels. And speaking about cameras, the 11 Pro will arrive with a 50-megapixel main sensor joined by a 48-megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 32-megapixel telephoto with a 2x optical zoom. And then on other news, Hasselblad is making a comeback by being in charge of the camera system after missing out on the OnePlus 10T, and I just think that they just didn't want to put their name on that thing. It is also reported that it'll feature a 5,000 milliamp hour battery that will support 100-watt wire charging, but it's unclear if that will be different depending on the region. And just to wrap it up, there is no word from OnePlus, but it's expected to arrive earlier than the previous model that was officially unveiled in January of last year, but keep in mind that was in China, and we don't know if that's going to be the case this time. Now let's talk about Google, since we have new details on the G2 Tensor chip and the pricing for the next lineup. The new SoC will retain the X1, A76, and A55 CPU cores in a 224 configuration as the original. The Tensor G2 will be reportedly manufactured by Samsung on its 4nm process, which will only enable minor improvements in CPU clock speeds. To be more specific, we should expect a 10% improvement in multi-core performance and barely any for single core, meaning that the CPU of the Tensor chip won't make much change. Actually, this sounds more like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which was also built on Samsung's architecture. Now, on the other hand, the new GPU is reported to be 20% faster and 20% more efficient than the previous one for graphics rendering, and 35% faster in machine learning tasks. And there is more. Apparently, it'll feature the S5300 5G modem from Samsung that promises better performance, stability, and efficiency. It's clear that Google's main focus was the GPU, and it makes sense since it actually does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to Google's camera processing, and after all, the camera is one of the main selling points for the Pixel. Also, we have a new report that mentions that the Pixel 7 series will have the same prices from the previous lineup, meaning the Pixel 7 Pro will start at $900 while the base model starts at $700. So yeah, we're getting closer to the event, but it begs to wonder if you're still excited with the Pixel 7 with everything that's already launched. And finally, for the hottest news today, unless you want to call them the WTF news of the day, let's talk about Apple and the iPhone 15. I know, I just published my thoughts so far on the iPhone 14 Pro Max that I'll be linking to, but it seems trusted sources are pretty impatient to let us know what's coming up next. First off, all iPhone 15 models are expected to drop Lightning in favor of USB-C. This isn't surprising since it will become mandatory that all electronic devices use USB-C as a standard in the EU just a few months after the 15 series goes on sale. 8K video recording is also a possibility for the next lineup, though it'll most likely be exclusive to the Pro models. And talking about those Pros, it's been reported by Ming-Chi Kuo and Mark Gurman that next year Cupertino will drop the Pro Max branding for Ultra, aligning it with the M1, the watch, and also the Samsung Galaxy naming schemes, because you know that I was going to call that out. Now, with all the different upgrades, the iPhone 15 Ultra is expected to go from $1,100 to $1,200, but it's still hard to determine that, and we also heard rumors that the current iPhones were getting more expensive this year, and they didn't. As for the rest of the series, there will be some unification. All four models are expected to adopt the dynamic island. However, only the Ultra and the Pro models will bring the new A17 Bionic, and apparently the base models will stick with the A16 Bionic. There have been some speculations that the Face ID hardware could go below the display, leaving only the camera punch hole, but it's not like Apple to not continue a typical design for a couple of years. So in today's question, let us know, what would Apple need to change for the iPhone 15 for you to consider it? Because honestly, in my case, yes, I do want USB-C. I would love so many things, but honestly, if they could make that thing lighter, have you used that 14 Pro Max? It is massive. It feels like if you're using a small tablet. I even think the iPad mini is lighter than that thing, but that's just me. Leave us a comment down below. We'd love to know your opinion. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Pocketnow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow us on social medias. Our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and follow me on my personal handles to see me debate the news sometimes. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.